So to begin, now go to your search bar and look for the notepad, or type the notepad and the notepad will appear. This is the environment of the notepad. This video, I'll be teaching how to create a website using the notepad. One of the reasons I recommend the notepad is that the notepad is very easy and simple to understand, especially when you don't have a prior knowledge of website creation. So we'll be using the notepad code editor to create a website. In this very video, you don't need any software installation because your every laptop has a notepad. You don't, no stress, irrespective of your experience or background. You will definitely understand because I'll be using simple terms and simple languages to explain the video. Now let's go to the practical proper. Now go to your search bar and look for the notepad, or type the notepad and the notepad will appear. This is the environment of the notepad. The first thing you need to do, as you've opened the notepad, now type this. Is the normal signs that you know, is the normal things that you know. I will just be using simple terms or simple languages to explain it. The first thing you type the less than sign. This is a tag, we call it a tag, but for people that does not have background knowledge, you call it is the normal less than sign, right? This is the less than sign, then you put your slash, put your exclamation mark. This is it. Then you type doc type. This simply means document type. What type of document is this? HTML. Remember I said that the HTML is the foundation of every website. Then you close it. You close it with the greater than sign. This, we call this the end tag, is the opening tag. But for clearer understanding, in normal mathematics, this sign is the less than sign, this one is the greater than sign. The less than sign is the what? Is the opening tag. The greater than sign is the end tag. Then the next thing you type HTML. This is the opening tag of the HTML. You also type the closing tag. In the closing tag, you have this less than sign. You now put slash HTML. You close with the greater than sign. This is the opening tag for this. From here to here is the opening tag, while from here to here is the end tag or the closing tag. And you can see that in the closing tag, you have the greater than sign, the less than sign, slash, then you now have the HTML with the greater than sign. Bear all these things in mind. Then I said earlier that the HTML is the foundation or the bedrock of every website. So you now come in the middle, in between the opening tag. Here is the opening tag, here is the end tag. You now come in between them, split them into two. If you split it into two, press your enter. Like we said before, the HTML is what you're going to write. Every code that you're going to write will be inside this place. You are not going to write outside it. Everything must be inside here. Then inside every HTML, we'll have what we call the head and the body. In every HTML, we have the head and the body, and you are the one to introduce this head and body. And to write the head and body, you introduce it with the opening. Every head must also have what? A closing head. You now write your less than sign. Remember the head. This is the opening tag of the head, and the closing tag. Remember, in closing tag there must be this slash sign. You also write head, you close it. Every HTML has what we call the head and the body. Inside the head, this is the head section. Here is the head section, right? Then they are not telling us that inside this head, that there is what we also call the title. We call it the title. That simply means that you will now come in between these two heads. That is the opening and the closing tag. You now come in between them, split them into two. Since they said that inside the head we have what we call the title. You now start with your opening tag, the title. This title must also have what? Remember, every opening tag you introduce must always have a closing tag. Although it is not on every element, but I will always tell you the element that does not require a closing tag. Then it has the title. One of the reasons why you write the opening and closing tag first before writing anything inside of it is so that you will not forget the closing tag. It's very, very important, especially during the body. Now, it has a title. Closing tag of title. This is it. We close. This title is where you name your web page, the name you want your web page to answer. It is here you write it. It's on this title that you write it. So you now come inside here and write what is it that you want your name to be, the name of your page to be. You can say my first website. You now write it. It's inside the title that my first website. This is what will appear on your web page. My first website. You are through with this place. Now remember, we said that in the HTML it has the head and the body section. Now we have to introduce the body section. Remember, we'll now start with the opening body, and also remember the closing tag, body too. And it is inside this body that you now write everything that you want to appear on the body section of your website. It is inside here. Now let's save. You click on the file. To save, click on file, click on save as. Now to save, you write index.html. The file name must be an HTML, showing that it's an HTML document. Then here, save as type all files. Make sure that the encoding is UTF-8. Then you click on save. You click on save. We've saved our work. If you want to see how this appears, if you want to see this thing that we've written now, you can see this thing on a browser, but it will be empty because we've not written anything. Let us go to the browser. We now go to our notepad. We now go to this notepad that we've saved and open it with the Google Chrome. Remember, we said earlier that it is the browser that helps you to access your website, right? This is our website. Now let's access it. Right click, open it with open with the Google Chrome. You can see there is not this is our browser. Our website has opened. Remember the title we wrote, my first website. You can see where the name appears, but there is nothing inside because we have not written anything. Where the body, there is nothing we've written inside. The only thing we just wrote here is just the title, which appeared on our website. You can see it, my first website, on our browser, my first website. You write something inside our notepad so that something will appear on our website. Let's minimize. This is the body section. Anything that you want to write inside the body section, you press enter, because everything you are going to write will be inside this body. inside the body section. But then in the body, you can say that, hello, this is my first website. And when you want to, you can introduce this with what? With the graph or a heading. Then inside here, we have the headings. The headings are represented with this tag. We have what we call the H1, we have the H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. And each of these headings, they do different things. Let us see an example what the headings does. With H1, remember our closing tag. You also close it with H1 and the greater than sign. Then you can come inside and write what you want to write, what you want your H1 to be. You can say first my first website. This is for H1. Let's save and see how it appears or what it looks like in our browser. This is our browser. Refresh. You can see my first website came up because that's what we wrote in our code. Now let's go back to the code. Then I told you that in the heading, in the HTML headings, we have from heading 1 to heading 6. And each of them, they do different things. Now H2, remember the closing tag, you put your slash, H2. Whatever you will write will be inside this H2. We are going to use the same thing we used here so that you see the difference between the H1 down to the H6. Now you write my first website. So this is for H2, written for H2. Now let's write for H3. We can copy this to write for the other ones. Control C for copy, Control V. I said we have H1 to H6. We duplicated this because we want to use the same word, the same sentence to see the difference between the headings. This H1 down to H2 is called the HTML headings. We have H2. Now let's edit this one to H3. Remember in the closing tag, you also write H3. This H4, remember in the closing tag, you also edit it to H4. This H5, in the closing tag, you also edit it to H5. This one is H6. In the closing tag, remember to edit it to H6. Now save. Let's save and go to our browser. We refresh. You can see my first website. This one is more pronounced. This is the H1. Remember we have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. This one is more pronounced. That simply means when you want to introduce an important heading, you use the H1. You can see that this one is pronounced, but it's not like the first one. You can see the H3. You can see that it's pronounced, but not like this. It's a bit faint. This one, it is diminishing. You can see that. That's to tell you the differences between the HTML headings. So whenever you want to use the headings, you know the ones to use. If it's an important topic that you want to introduce, you use the H1. But you can see that the H1 did not appear. That is the tags. The tags did not show on the website. But in our code, you can see the tags, the H1. But the browser picked, it is the HTML that tells the browser what to do for us. The browser now picked these things that we've written and the screen. You can see my first website. This is from H1. It is 6 in number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Example, we have just created a website. We did not host it, but we just created a website without using there is no expensive software. It is not magic. We've just created a website.
So you can equally try this out on your own. It's very simple, it's very easy. Just pay attention to the video, pay attention to details. You can do it. It's not difficult. You can do it. If you practice and get to this point, you've created your first website. Also be teaching elements in creating a proper website that you can relate to.